Good evening, all. Thanks for joining us on this very exciting evening as we celebrate and honor the productions and individuals from Fine Arts Center 2019-2020 season productions that have been nominated for a Colorado Theater Guild Henry Award. I am here with Henry Award nominee Nathan Halverson.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I like pretending like I wasn't just talking to you. Like this is like we just got here. How
yeah,
are you?
You know, like a real piece of theater, we had a little backstage green room time, and then we were like in places, and now here we are in our separate video squares in separate places. We will we'll get to the show that you're nominated for a little later in the evening, you know, and I think you know, something that we've said internally to each other, but I haven't said out loud, so I'm going to say this now. You know, last year we were so thrilled and amazed to receive, we got 26 nominations, right, last year, I think, and of course took home a number of awards. And this season we received 21 nominations for what was in effect half of a season. So that's pretty great.
Kudos
to all of us.
Yeah.
And of course we're going to spend some time speaking with both the creative teams and the actors from the three productions that were nominated. That's The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, Tiny Beautiful Things, and The Bridges of Madison County. But there's yeah, no, I did. I was like, I have it all set up over here on my other screen. But I think it's important to note all the dozens of people who were engaged and involved in these productions, whether they're musicians in the orchestra pit, the crew backstage, up in the booth doing spotlights, the stage management team, the technicians who help build the shows. It takes a true village, right?
Well, and I think we can say that about all the shows we produce too, right? We owe a lot to everyone.
Yeah, and we don't want to ignore the other productions that we were able to do before lockdown: Busy Town, Carrie, the musical, The Sound of Music, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. You know, when you go back and think about that we were able to produce 7 really amazing pieces of theater before lockdown in the season, on top of all the fabulous educational work we do through the theater school. It's been a really busy year, and it still is busy. And we are, yeah, right. And so we're excited by the present. We're thrilled at these accolades for the past, and we're continuing to dream and make plans for the future.
Well said.
Thanks.
I'm looking forward to talking to these brilliant people.
Shall we talk to some of them now?
That was my attempt at a segue. I'll leave it to you after.
Well, no. This is your time to segue, my friend.
Oh, okay. We're gonna move on now to the Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime creative team. Can we have them join us? Oh, so fun! Hi, everybody.
So this is we have Mary Ripper Baker, who did choreography for the production, Chris Sheely, scenic designer, Holly Rawls, lighting designer, Jacob Kilmischler, who did the sound design, and that was sort of a co-project and a co-nomination with Stephen Light, who composed the music for the production. And we do not have Kevin Koski, who was a costume designer, and the projection designer, the video designer, Colin. But this is part of the team. All right, Nathan.
You did great. And also, let's be, Holly and Chris are on the same screen because they live together. They're not breaking social distance rules. I would just want to say that so that we are aware that we are all following guidelines and taking care of ourselves. So I'm going to go first. Scott, why this play?
Well, I read the book that the play is based on when it was first released in the early 2000s. Oh, Mary's holding it up, and loved it. and maybe this is my own mythology, but I feel like I said at the time, man, this would make a great play. And sometime later it was. In fact, the story goes that Mark Haddon, who wrote the original novel, could never imagine that it would ever be staged or made into a movie or anything like that. And then Simon Stevens, the playwright, proved him wrong. And I find it to be such a universal story about this wonderfully interesting character and the adventures that he goes on. And I felt that the way that look at Logan as Christopher Boone, the sort of lead character. I mean, we follow his adventures, and the storytelling in the script was so open for invention that this felt like a way to tell a story in a different way than what we might consider as a usual play. I mean, I really do feel like we were all very successful at making it a theatrical experience, and that it blurred the line of what a play or a musical or a dance piece, or it's just a beautiful piece of magic.
Beautifully said. So then what happens? What happens next? We pick the play, and then you assemble the team that you want to work with, and then we go where? Is Chris and Holly, how did it start? Was it a group think tank right off the bat?
Sorry, is that to us or to?
Sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was a group effort from the beginning because it was an unusual piece, and I think I felt right away like it wasn't so much that we needed. We almost needed one designer, in that sets and lights and sound and choreography and projections needed to function as one, more so than I think in most live theater. And so the collaborative effort, it was important that we started early and that we were all in agreement so that we could each showcase what we had to offer in support of the show. And so that was the initial hurdle, which I think worked really well. It felt very cohesive for the entire team.
Chris, am I remembering right that I was like, "Hey, read this book"?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, in fact, after the first time you saw it, you came back and like, "Oh my God, I saw the greatest piece of theater. I can't wait until we get to do it."
I never saw it.
No way.
No. Joey, my wife, saw it in London. I think that I was really hoping that I would get to direct the play one day, and I specifically did not want to see a live production. Of course, we saw clips of other productions that were on the web, right. but no, I specifically tried to stay away from seeing a live production, and certainly had opportunities to do so.
And after having looked at some of the other live productions, ours is unique. What we did, I don't see anything. I haven't seen anything like it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Segue. That's a good segue, Holly. Why does our version of Curious look like it does?
Well, I think a lot of it came out of the brains of our creative team. Chris did all this research into what does the autistic mind function like, and we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we allow our audience to see the lead character's point of view because the lead character is autistic? Like, what can we do visually to help reinforce that? And so his research really influenced a lot. And then Scott had some really strong feelings about like firm points in the story that he wanted to punch up a little bit. So, and that in between Mary's choreography, really all of the people in the ensemble were like other pieces of Christopher's mind at points. And so this was one of the greatest collaborative pieces I've ever worked on in the terms of everybody helped make this final vision possible.
When I think about the final product and performance, the whole thing just continued to feel so seamless to me. I mean, knowing how much work we all put in and the entire acting company put in, but that it really did, it like went like this. It was just it really did feel like a work of beauty. It's one of those shows that I've directed that I kept wanting to watch. Like, I think I saw more performances of Curious Incident after it opened than many other shows in our history.
Yeah.
Chris, do you want to add anything to that, or are you happy with all the accolades you got from other people?
Well, I guess the only thing I would add, well, I would add two brief things. One, it was sort of an honor to try to convey the life experience of somebody who is that far on the autistic spectrum, and having known a few people who are fairly far on the spectrum, it's kind of compelling, right? Like most people, or a lot of people, are on the spectrum to some degree or another, and so some people it's harder to get through life than others, but it was really wonderful to be able to represent that segment of our society, for people to get an idea of what that might be like. Making it available, accessible to people who are not very far on the spectrum was the hurdle, and that's one of the things that I think the proudest of was how we were able to connect that, from what I gleaned in responses from friends. And then the other thing, I always feel like I have to say, it was a beautiful production, and I always want to honor the people who aren't here, who made that happen. All the shops, as you said, all of the that Alyssa and Mickey and Bob and Leo and Mark and all of the people. That it's one thing to dream it up, but if there's nobody to cash the check, as they say, it's all for nothing. So I really want to acknowledge it takes a team to make the dream.
And if the stage management team of Kate Fernandy and Mo Gatson weren't there every night, our vision means nothing without them and a really excellent run crew of Aiden and Malia and Joe and Angie and Rebecca Savage, and I know I'm going to forget people, but thank everybody who were there night after night after night, making what we dreamed up in the room happen for, I don't even know how many people ended up seeing the production, but make it happen seamlessly night after night.
Yeah, we're grateful.
I mean, there's like one show a year at the Fine Arts Center that I don't have anything to do with, and I get to go to opening night and just see it. And I remember being like, what? Like I was like, this is amazing. Look at all the cool people that I get to work with, and look at all this cool thing that I made. Like it was really, really beautiful. And I also think that Holly should host this the next time, because she really started segueing me to Mary, which was very helpful earlier. And then I didn't take the bait, and now I have to go back. And I actually think Holly should try the next one.
Well, I really would love for Mary to speak to you a little bit how she looked at the ensemble as sometimes individual pieces, and then sometimes they all moved so beautifully as like one big organic creature. How did you even figure out what that was supposed to be, what the end goal was? It was really impressive.
I won't say a word.
Well, thank you. The imagery from the book really spoke volumes to me, and I was really thrilled to be able to go in an abstract path with some of the work that we did, and the collaboration that, as you said, was essential and so seamless and important. One of my favorite, as you talked about creatures, I think I have in my notes, I called one of the segments the nebula octopus. People working as an organism, flowing in and out. It was a great fun. The other thing that I really enjoyed reading through the book and going through all the prime numbers. We created a gesture phrase for each of the prime numbers and then built a phrase on that. And depending on how the character Christopher was either soothing himself or being agitated, we changed the dynamic of that movement. So that was a lot of fun.
There was something about this show that I really felt when we got into rehearsal, that it was very important that it felt like a devised room, because the entire acting company was, for the most part, on stage the whole time and trying to figure out how to use them in the most effective way, that there wasn't a lot of pre-blocking necessarily, that there was like the idea emotionally and maybe the architecture that I was interested in creating, but the actual specific work really was an ensemble effort. And with the work that Mary did, I think one of the complications, but that ended up working beautifully, is that we actually created the movement before the music was composed. In fact, the music that Steve composed and the soundscapes that Jacob made were placed after the choreography was built. And that's a little different from our usual process, I think.
How is that, Mary?
Well, you know, as a modern dancer, we actually use that technique often. And so I wasn't, you know, of course I've choreographed musical theater pieces where you have, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, you have a score laid out, all the notes written out for you. But this offered such freedom to create and wait for those happy accidents that are everything.
Well, I mean, the fun thing about watching the movement was that it really felt like it was one collective breath. Do you know what I mean? Like that the cast was breathing together and moving together and taking us to the next place, and it felt so. That's why I think that it was so great that they're nominated for the Ensemble Award, because it was so like, you know.
If there ever was an ensemble, this is the ensemble. Yes, it was. I mean, everybody had to be tuned in to each other as they were on stage, watching each other, and as you said, moving as a unit, as the collection of Christopher's brain, his thoughts, that nebula, that beautiful nebula back upstage. You know, that, I mean, they were the embodiment of all of that emotion, all of that, and I think with all of the people working together, that's what made it so rich, so special.
Well, because there was a marriage between the physical and then there was the world breathing with it too. I mean, it was the light, it was everything, was the sound. Because I'm gonna move over. Every time a picture comes up and I can't see who I'm talking to anymore, it makes me have a mild panic attack. I'm going to get over it, but I'm gonna move it to Jacob. So how does the soundscape and that world, like, does it pull it together, or how do you view it?
Hopefully, yes. It was I really have to just echo what Chris said as far as the collaboration between all of the creative people involved, all the designers, Mary, Scott, and the cast. It was so much of the effects we built were so specific to the other people. So the most interesting challenge, I think, for me was having Steven be in California because he couldn't join us. So, you know, we were collaborating over the internet, and he was great with iterations. I think Mary will remember, like, you know, we would give him, we need 8 bars at 68 beats per minute of something. And you know, we would iterate from there.
Yeah, and Steven, we would record the rehearsal videos so Steven could like compose music related to the movement. But we were changing a lot of the sound and the music up until opening night, as I recall, because there was just like the fine tuning of really wanting it to like match as perfectly together to support the work of the ensemble, both the acting ensemble and the design ensemble.
Yes.
This all sounds really hard, but like the kind of hard that like on opening night, you're like, ah, you know what I mean? And like, feel like.
Yeah, I think we all felt very good on that Friday night in the end of September when we got this beast open. It's one of those indelible projects that will remain in my memory forever. That's for sure. I have to say, I mean, why not call everyone out? Congratulations, Chris Shealy, on your nomination for Outstanding Scenic Design. Holly Rawls, your nomination for Outstanding Lighting Design in a Play. Jacob, Outstanding Sound Design for a Play. Mary Ripper Baker, Outstanding Choreography. I'm not going to honor myself. And certainly the production. So those of us here on the screen represent, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if outstanding production, 6 of the 9 nominations that this production received this year. Yeah, great.
Bravo. As I suspected, it's not long enough. I would like us to be able to talk longer, but we have so many people who need to be spoken with that we have to move on. But thank you so much, you guys.
And one more thing, and Rebecca Burdick
Oh,
Myers. Also Rebecca Burdick.
Yeah, Rebecca, who's joining us
She's coming on right now.
Did serve as the dance captain to ensure that things were staying in the way that Mary created them.
Excellent job, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
See ya.
It's so wonderful to see colleagues in this way, but so terrible at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
It goes by so fast, too.
It does. But we have, like you said, we have a lot of people to get to. We have a lot of nominations to talk about. It is exciting. So we're going to bring in some of the acting company from Curious Incident next. And here is Logan Riley Bruner, nominated for Outstanding Performance by an Actor in a Play. And our other individual acting nominee, Elise Santora, is supposedly joining us, but I don't think is here yet. And we also have, oh, there she is, Elise Santora, who has been nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Play. Apparently, anytime Elise performs at the Fine Arts Center, Emmy Award nomination. We also have two members of the rest of the acting ensemble, so in turn nominees as Outstanding Ensemble, Rebecca Myers and Nicholas Robert Ortiz. Welcome, friends. It's nice to see you all.
Look at Nick's backdrop.
Yeah, Nick is representing.
Yeah, come on. When when you're with an award-winning theater company, you got to rep it.
Brown wallpaper at first. I was like, did he have wallpaper made? And it's just like everywhere you look is those three posters. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, it's all over my room.
My
bedspread.
Are those? Did you? Those are the three productions that you've appeared in at the Fine Arts Center, correct?
Yeah, these are the banners you let me have.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah,
were they the big ones?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Logan.
Hi.
everybody.
I miss you guys.
Yeah. Miss you too.
Good to see
Who's
all
my
of
here
you.
for this?
You know,
Yeah.
I didn't say it or ask it in the last section because I knew that all the creatives that we had are here somewhere in the Colorado Springs area, and I know that not all of you are. Can you just for a moment tell us where you are, Logan?
I am in New York City, right in the heart of Manhattan.
Good job, Elise.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes,
Ooh.
Nicholas.
Nice. Well, I'm in Texas right now.
Good job, Rebecca.
I'm in the heart of Colorado Springs.
It is a true national contingent that we have here. Nathan, do you want to ask the gang a thing, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, we're just like living, right? We're just gonna.
We are living.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Well, the first thing I want to jump off the Mary conversation about that collective breath that we were talking about earlier, and what that ensemble work felt like the creation of it, and then I guess I was going to say the maintaining of it, but I'd rather say the living of it, because then you got to live it in front of people for a month. So does anyone want to jump on that? Or pick a new question and say whatever you want. You could do that too.
Not a great question. I'll start. It was incredible to come every day to the room not knowing what was going to happen, because it was such a devised piece of work that every day was a new day, and it really felt like an ensemble at its core, because everyone had to rely on each other in order to get the job. Look at that! Oh my goodness!
Oh God!
Yeah, to get the job done, and we really had to rely on each other. We really had to think as one cohesive unit. I remember there would be so many times when I would rely on Rebecca so badly to be in the corner of my eye just to remind me of things that I was like, oh, I'm 5 steps ahead. I need to remember what's next, and we need to work together in order for this to happen. And I mean, it could have gotten, you know, I had to pick up Logan many times. We had to
A lot of times.
float on air as if we were in space. So, and that took maybe 3 or 4 people at a time. So you're really relying on other people to do one cohesive unit job.
Yeah.
And it
was the longest actors trust exercise ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the collaboration was truly, like, even to the minute detail, especially this show is so intricate and the support has to be there, but the minute details of props are in which box and whose box is what. And seriously, even until we opened, we were asking each other under our breath, what comes next? Or where's my prop? And Mo would swear it was in there. So it was a definite, it was a challenge to sort of marry that with the emotional value of the piece.
I want to say one thing about the boxes, that, you know, in a lot of ways, when we were working in the rehearsal room, a lot of the scenery was really made up of these 9 boxes. And there was a lot of blockingography regarding which box was where and when. And because we said this is box number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then as we got into tech, I was like, in that minutia of detail about the show, it was like, the boxes have to be numbered prime numbers, because that's all Christopher has. Even though the audience would never see it, I think that you almost made me leave the theater when I was like, yeah, they're numbered prime numbers. And now you have to figure out which box is number 17.
I think that what was the most fun about that was that you changed the numbers like 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah.
When did you make this decision?
3 weeks in.
I have to say, it was a huge exercise in being flexible of the mind and soul every day. And it was the best cast.
Yes.
Because we could only communicate with one another by looking at each other, because very rarely did we get to leave stage. And so you don't have time to be like, hey, remember to get blah, 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 blah. You had to just be like,
Yeah.
Communicate with the
so many
eyes.
times looking across the room and just eyes darting different places to be like, oh yeah, that's next. Okay, yeah, we're doing this. Oh yeah.
When you really think, I asked this question, and then I'll segue to a related question to Logan, Elise, Nick, and Rebecca. If you really think about it in relation to the actual human characters and the sort of inanimate objects or emotions that you were playing as part of the ensemble, how many characters do you think that you were actually putting on in this production?
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh my goodness.
You're asking me to remember something that was several months ago, and
Well,
and there's been a pandemic. Yes.
Does being a table count?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Nick. It counts.
A table counts. Being a cash machine counts. All of it counts.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, I love that. I love that. Yeah,
I believe there were 4 or 5, and that doesn't include the ones that we would create backstage amongst us. Just saying. Because everybody's got to have some entertainment value, right? Yeah. So for me, it was like, other than Mrs. Alexander, which I just want to point out on that she was the slow, she's so interesting because she's the slowest moving one in a world that waves around at a different speed. His world isn't always fast, right, Logan? But it moves constantly, whereas Mrs. Alexander seems to be the brake. And it's certainly the way I played her, but for various reasons. Wow. Okay, so it just was interesting to kind of fit her in, or to slow down to that space and then go right back in with another character like the train station. Or I just wanted to point that out because that's what's really interesting about the groove of this show.
So Logan, my related question is, how did you do it? I mean, and I mean that in terms of like, how were you able to be so committed from beginning to end as this character while having to deal with these 8 other actors and 2 rats and a dog, right? And like knowing that in that trust exercise kind of way, but I feel like you were able to just fall into Christopher.
Well, thank
all
you.
the time. Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just faith in everybody else. I mean, and it's going to sound like I'm kissing their asses, but it's true. I had the best cast and crew that I could possibly have asked for. Like, there was not a single person on that stage or behind the scenes that I thought was going to drop me literally or figuratively at any point. Nick specifically, because we also lived together, so there were a couple opportunities. But there was a lot of research going into it, of just like academic research and interpersonal research of really trying to figure out who this character was, and then just walking into the room and having faith that we were going to kind of find it together, and that's exactly what happened. There was one point in the show, it was right after a Mrs. Alexander scene, that I had to do a gigantic cross around the entire stage. And I did that cross at the exact same speed every night. It was the exact same amount of steps every single night. And while I was doing that cross, 7 other things happened on stage.
Right.
And every night, me and one of the ensemble members, Steven, would pass each other perfectly. He would take a step right out of my way as I arrived. And there was never a time that in my head I was like, oh no, Steven's still there, because I always knew all of us were just on top of each other. So it was a team effort of just having faith in everybody, and I think everybody earned that.
I know that you all had a sense of what the whole world looked like, even though you couldn't really ever see it in 3 dimensions. I just wonder if you were cognizant of all of the energy and light and sound that was happening as you were acting while you were doing it. And if so, did that help enhance what you were doing, or were you concerned that it was going to distract from what you were doing?
Well, I think for me, it only added, because they felt like characters as well. And boy, I love a good ensemble piece. And so all of the soundscape, the music, that's incredible set, the lights, it all felt like characters that we were all working together. I mean, look at that, you guys. And to this day, every time I still see pictures of this, I always have that reaction. Yeah.
The movement of everything was something that sort of, it almost felt like that hydraulic thing that would jostle you into the next character, the next moment. So even when you were confused about who the hell am I right now, or how do I get Mrs. Alexander out onto the stage, it seemed that the Mary's choreography, the simplicity and loveliness and organic quality to it sort of allowed me, I'll just speak for me, to sort of know where I was at any given moment. And to really, and those moments were often brief. So you don't have a lot of actory time to like delve. It just, boom, just the movement would do it. You know, and that's a lovely, lovely thing.
Everything on stage with the lights and the sounds and the set was electric. There was an electricity that you felt while being on stage, and there was always a heightened sense of awareness. Even the times when the ensemble would leave stage, there was an entire show happening backstage with all the stage hands and all the tech people like Mo. Oh my goodness, we would have. Oh my god. Yeah, and Corey. Oh yeah, so big props to them for everything they did, because I know we were going crazy and at 100% sweating and feeling it the entire time. So big props to them for making it seamless and wonderful. And that electricity just didn't stay on stage. It went backstage. It went to the dressing rooms. You could feel it, and that added to it.
Can I ask one question and say one statement? Logan, how did it feel to have to do that monologue once it was all done?
It was honestly pretty terrifying. Because that monologue is all math. which is something that I was good at, but not like math was never my prime focus as a student. So finishing that entire show, a show where the majority of my boost, my energy came from everybody else on stage, and then rising and being like, okay, now you're completely alone. No one else was with you right now. So just have some faith in yourself and use the audience. And so half the nights it was like, I'd find that one person that had just really been locked in with the show the whole night, and I'd do the whole monologue to them, or I'd pick like 3 or 4 people that I thought I could get some energy from. There were 1 or 2 nights that I picked somebody, and right as I picked them, they were like, please don't pick me, please don't talk to me. So there were a couple nights that I had to adjust, but that monologue is a beast in and of itself.
Yeah, when I saw it, because I'd read the play, but I didn't work on it, and then on opening night, I was like, oh my goodness, he had to do that whole play. And then everyone else is in the dressing room getting ready to go get their drink, and you still have to keep talking. It's not fair.
I loved it. I thought it was fun every night to just get to run around the entire backstage area to get to a trap door to rise. So it was a blast.
And also do note that the rest of the ensemble cannot really go to the dressing room, because it was very important to me that when that monologue was over, that they all came back.
We all had to be timed to come out with this crazy pinwheel.
You all had to be confetti.
Okay,
I was thinking about the drink. I was thinking about it.
I also want to add that, there's such a great sort of collaborative team in the Fine Arts Center, between Scott and the Mo and Kate and our PSM and our ASM. Seriously, like, I want to support what Logan said. It sort of gives you a whole sense of space where you can fall on your face, which I definitely did various times, and still be able to be creative. And then, like Rebecca said, there was this incredible ensemble that was supportive of each other. I was hurt during that production, so I had the support not only of my director, but other cast members who just took it on when I couldn't do it, or, picked something up that I couldn't pick up. That is seriously like the best situation you can have when you have to still do the work. Yeah. And one of my favorite moments was Logan and I having eye contact, or Nick or Rebecca and I used to have major eye contact on stage with the whole prop thing. And it just helped on nights where you thought, I'm going to die before Act 2. I should have brought my living will. So.
Well, that kind of leads into the statement that I wanted to say, is that you guys all really loved each other. That's what I saw. Like, you guys at work, you guys were like team building. Outside, you guys were always together, celebrating each other and spending time with one another. And I feel like that's a representation of the joy and the collaborative spirit in the room bled out into your daily life during that process. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
You
yes.
learned to trust everyone in the room.
I was just going to say, with the exception of me, because I had a newborn child. So I was, as soon as we were done, I was like, I didn't even say goodbye. I would just leave.
But you were present when needed. So,
And I did see you at a couple parties.
Yes.
It really was one of those true families that extended off stage. And just like with the last group of the creatives, it's just amazing to see the 4 of you and think about the other 5 members of the acting ensemble and that company, and that somehow this production was already a long time ago, even though it was long ago. So we're gonna move on, and thank you for joining us. And so I'm gonna name and honor you again for nominated for Outstanding Actor in a Play, Logan Riley Bruner as Christopher Boone. Nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Play, 𝘕𝘪𝘯𝘀 for a number of different roles. And nominated for Best Ensemble, the entire acting company represented by Nick and Rebecca.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
that's our Curious Incident segment. 9 nominations for our production. We'll see you somehow virtually on July 26th, I hope.
My birthday, yeah.
Wherever that is.
Wow, cool. All
There you
right.
go. That's a good
Thank
sign.
you, Scott.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you guys.
Love you.
They're so wonderful.
So sweet.
I know, right? And we love them all.
Well, yeah, of course. But their love for each other is tangible, even on the computer. You can feel it.
And I do want to say also, I don't know if you were going to mention this, but that was the second Fine Arts Center related video experience that Elise engaged in with us today because she loves us so much.
I was going to mention it, but then I got nervous because we were running out of time.
So why don't you?
Minutes, and I was like, I got to go.
I know, but it said that 2 minutes, like 7 minutes ago, whatever.
Oh,
So
the
tell everybody what Elise did earlier today.
we are in the middle of youth rep. Our 5-week-long high school theater intensive, and Elise joined a group of friends of ours for a roundtable discussion about different markets in the United States for theater and things, and it was awesome and robust and beautiful, and I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful that we have this massive company of theatrical artists that live all over, who continue to want to be engaged, who continue to want to work with us, even in this time when we're not doing 3-dimensional live theater.
Right.
We are going, we set up these segments in chronological order of when the shows were produced, right?
Okay, great.
So next up, we have the 2 actors who have been nominated for their work in Tiny Beautiful Things. Please welcome to the Zoom, or whatever this is, Marisa Hebert and Steve Emily. Welcome, friends.
Hey, guys.
Congratulations on your nomination. Steve, nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Play. Marisa, nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Play. And I would be remiss if I didn't note that Marisa has also been nominated for Outstanding Actress in a Play for her work in The Mountaintop at TheaterWorks, also here in the Springs. Congratulations, Marisa and Steve. Thanks for joining us this evening. Tiny Beautiful Things. I was actually thinking that in much the same way as Curious Incident, here are 2 plays that feature actors that are portraying multiple varied roles over the course of the evening. But something that's different to me about Tiny Beautiful Things in relation to many other productions where individual actors are playing multiple characters is that maybe not all, but it felt like the majority of the work that the 2 of you were doing and that Heidi Guzman and Allison Mickelson were doing under Christy Montour Larson's direction was very 3-dimensional and very real. And as opposed to being caricature-y or stylistic, it felt like these were well-drawn human beings, no matter which characters you were playing. And that's like a non-question question. It's sort of like, can you talk a little bit about, of those varied characters, were there any that were just really easy to get to, really hard to find, or what was the most fulfilling in the work that you did?
Steve, Marisa. Oddly enough, Sexy Santa was relatively easy, just because he's a smartass, which I can deal with. Living Dead Dad, though, was kind of a nightmare in a good way. But yeah, so those were my 2, I guess.
Marisa?
I really liked playing all the kids. There were a couple of younger roles that I don't know why, it just feels really easy and safe to slip into that area where you're not as experienced as you are as a human, where you don't have all that stuff that we as adults just pile on ourselves in order to make it through the world, and to really just wear those emotions like right out front, like most people who are younger do. I'm with Steve. And I know it wasn't mine, but Living Dead Dad was awful. Like, I played so many games with myself in my brain so I wouldn't just sob the entire way through, because after that, I have the next goddamn line. Ooh, I shouldn't cuss.
No, it's good. It's all good.
I would find things on the stage and I'd say, okay, find everything red. And I just find red things, because if I listened to him, I was a mess and I couldn't get that next line out, because it was, I think it was hard for the whole cast, even though it was beautiful to watch him do it every night.
Nathan, I know that you had a big hand in compiling the 4 actors in the play, with collaborating with Christy, who directed it. Can you talk a little bit, maybe about the 2 actors who have been nominated that we have here, the other 2 actors, about what you know or what you saw in these actors that made you know that these were the right people for this production?
I had no idea I was going to be asked questions about Tiny Beautiful Things. I thought I was asking questions.
Yeah, but I think you have an answer, don't you?
Well, you know, the play requires 2 really gifted, versatile performers who could do a lot, because you're bouncing here and bouncing there and going here and playing this and whatever. And so I just knew. That sounds simple.
That's right.
I just knew they could. What I remember about that casting, the fun part, is that I got to offer Reese her part while we were both in New York City together. Do you remember that?
I do.
And she was there, and I called her on the street, and I was like, hey, this. And then did we meet for drinks that night or something?
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, we were in New York when we made that deal. So that's kind of a fun story.
So now segue into a question you want to ask Stephen Reese.
Well, the play is so intimate and raw. I mean, it's very funny too, but like the things that are being asked by the play of the performers is so intense, I think. And you are in the music room with 99 people right on top of you. How's that feel?
I love it. I love the smaller, more intimate spaces in town. So for me, that felt like kind of going home. But I mean, I think you have to give Christy a big, huge chunk of credit, because she just created this little sandbox where we could play and just find these things and not be afraid of something not working and you know, being able to shift into something else. It was just this perfect little greenhouse to grow whatever this thing was.
I like the music room. I have done a few shows up there, and I like its intimacy, but I also like the ability to not wear my glasses while I do those shows, so that I don't have to really be as aware of the audience as I could be. And you get to know right away how they're taking it, because it's such a closed space and there's so much energy that right away, you know if they're with you or not, and you can feel just how much they want to either go on the ride with you or they want to get away from it as quick as they can.
Yeah.
And in this particular production, Christy, in collaboration with Chris and Holly and Malia and Terry and the rest of the team, set up the room as an extension of Sugar's house. So there were a number of audience members who were sitting on couches and armchairs with little table lamps next to them, and maybe being so close to them that there was a different kind of connection in a way. I don't know, with the audience.
First of all, that set was ridiculous. I mean, and Terry and all those props, like every day we'd come to rehearsal and there was something new. And so many people just talked about the fact that there were used shopping bags on the side of the refrigerator because it's such a thing that people do. The set was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. And it really, I mean, you know, if you look at the stage of the music room without anything on it, it's really not very big. And there was something in the perspective that was able to be created where it was a massive, real place that the company and the audience was able to get to every night.
Yeah, I mean, by extending the set essentially out into the audience, it became more than a performance, if that makes any kind of sense. It just kind of extended that reality outward, which was just such a great opportunity.
You mentioned Christy, the director. Could you guys talk a little bit about the rehearsal process and how we get to what the audience saw? Because, I mean, I've read the script a bunch of times and it feels like you could do a lot. There's not like a lot of like, they must enter here and they must, you know, there's not a lot of that. So like, how did that process work with, you know, you, the 4 actors, and Christy?
There was a lot of crying.
Like that's how you know it's good.
It was good fun. We spent like the first week crying because we'd read it and then we all had a copy of the book. Then we'd read the full letter and then we'd discuss it. And I don't think, no, Steve, you did cry. I saw it once. You tried to hide it.
Yeah, probably. I hid under a table. Well, Christy she's that personification of Minnesota nice. You know, so as someone from the Midwest, I was like, oh, you look familiar. So she just created this nice environment. That's, you know, yeah.
She did let us try a lot of things. And even if they were silly and you could tell she knew they wouldn't work, she still let us try it just so it wasn't in the back of your head going, oh, if I would have done that, maybe things would look different. And she really did foster the 4 of us always kind of being aware of each other and knowing what the other person was doing. And we could tell if somebody needed help, just kind of like the last group said, like just by looking at each other, it's like, oh, somebody needs help. It was very much organic like that, where the 4 of us were like, okay, we've got each other, right? Right. Okay, here we go.
A beautiful production, beautiful performances. Understandably, the 2 of you have received these nominations for your work, and we're rooting for you on July 26th at the virtual Henry Awards.
Thank you so much for playing with us and doing that show. You guys were so great. Thank you for coming tonight.
Oh,
and please get them both.
Thank you. It's good to see your faces.
Bye. Bye, Marisa. Bye, Steve. It was such a profound performance in all ways. I mean, including the 2 actors who we didn't have with us tonight. What a beautiful play. I'm so glad that we did it.
Story?
Yeah.
A short one.
Short story.
Allison Nicholson, who played Sugar, gave me the book Tiny Beautiful Things as an opening night gift for Fun Home. And then I went to Mexico and read it on the beach and read it and then got the script and then we did the show and then Allison Nicholson played Sugar. Just saying.
Everything's connected. Right? Everything happens for a reason. All right. Well, we're moving on to the 10 nominations. The production of ours with the most nominations this season, The Bridges of Madison County. So we're leaving. Nathan, congratulations on your nomination for Outstanding Direction of a Musical. And joining us now is lighting designer Jonathan Spencer, music director Stephanie McGuffin, and once again, Jacob, sound designer. Jacob, you're double nominated for your work on 2 different productions.
Happy to be back. Thank you.
Hello, friends.
Hi, friends.
Nice to see you all. So all of you are welcome to answer the question, but I'm going to start with this. Nathan, I know that, and boy, do I know that it's been a long time that you've been pushing to do a production of Bridges in Madison County, and February of 2020 was the time to do it. And what inherently, what was that just vision that was always in your head that, like, why was it like this show?
I have so many, I have like a million answers to that question, but I would have to say that the first answer is the music. The music is just so beautiful and so luscious and so evocative and so rich that I just wanted to live inside that music for a few months.
Yeah.
But to be fair, and we'll get to Jennifer Di Domenici in a second, but like knowing Di Dom and knowing that she was there and that who else could sing this music better than her, like it all made sense for us to do it at the Fine Arts Center. I mean, I have a lot of ideas about, of course, the show and how it ended up being staged and stuff that were developed over the years, but that's the impulse answer for you.
For the rest of the creative team, had you been aware of Bridges in Madison County before getting into this production? And
Yes.
if so, then when we got to this production, sort of the same question, did you already have this sort of like immediate vision of how your work was going to bring this production to life?
It's kind of funny because Nathan and I do the concert together, and a couple of years prior, I was poking at him. I was like, we should really do Bridges of Madison County for this. And he's like, hold on, wait. I have a plan for this one. So I was like, okay, just make sure you call me. But yeah, I fell in love with it immediately as soon as it came out, and the score is just gorgeous and beautiful and something that you can really dig into and sink your teeth in. And I know that doing it, the entire orchestra just loved every song. And so you would go through, and during rehearsals, they're like, this is my favorite song. And then they'd be like, wait, this is my favorite song. And so it was really satisfying music to do because everyone really enjoyed it.
Jonathan, Jacob?
Yeah, I have a little story. I mean, so the truth is that I didn't know it. So here's the short story. I had lunch in New York with Nathan Halverson the day that he went to see Bridges of Madison County. And after lunch, he was going to TKTS, and I don't even know. I made some lame, terrible decision that I was going home. It was a Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I have no idea what I did that day. And Nathan has never forgotten what he did that day. I don't have any idea what I did that day 2 weeks later. Right. And there's a lesson in that for me. And so when Nathan called me and asked me about doing the show, and I started listening to the music and weeping and bemoaning, like I was weeping at my desk every day, like listening to this music and like mourning the loss of what I could have had with my friend that day, you know? So it really tempered somehow. I was coming after it. After I put all that together, I really started coming after it as a way to somehow make up for this choice I had made, which had been the wrong choice, right? In like the best way, like, and recognize that, you know, I just chose the lesser path that day. And this show is about like choosing these paths, right? And so there was something romantic in all of it for me about that. But I mourn that I didn't see that show with Nathan because he's never stopped talking about it. I mean, ever.
Still hasn't stopped talking.
I don't plan on it.
Yeah. Jacob?
So Julie and I got a chance to see it, very luckily, on Broadway in the minute that it was open, because it closed way too soon. And we mainly chose it on Jason Robert Brown. You know, anything that gets produced of his, we want to see. And it was honestly one of my favorite shows, you know, ever seeing since then. So I remember the staff meeting we had when Nathan announced that we were doing it. It was very exciting. And a little daunting because, you know, the material is so dynamic. But having having to design, getting to mix, actually not even design, getting to mix that show with Jen and Dieter's voices is one of the highlights of my career.
Yeah, and so Lex Liang, who designed the scenery and costumes for this production, couldn't. Oh, there he is! Look at that. His face is bigger than all of us. He couldn't join us this evening, but he did send some words, and it's a good segue if I just share with you some of the things he wrote, so we can get into talking about our specific production. He said that with regard to the scenery for Bridges, there were a couple basic visual elements he wanted to use as a driving force, but otherwise leave this very open, spare playing space for the lights and the music to paint the story. And with regard to color in both the costumes and the scenery, Francesca, shown there, was in gold and earth tones, and Robert is in blues and whites, indicative of sky, air, and the freedom she longs for. The palette was tight, with the supporting characters in tight, appropriate palettes, since the cast is all over the place of the show. And he goes on to talk about, because the music was so important and sort of operatic, that there was this huge emotional response to deal with in the full design of the show. He gives massive shout outs to Nathan for inviting him on the journey, to Jonathan for playing again in painting the scenery with light more beautifully than he could have anticipated, and of course to Stephanie and the band, and to Jacob for creating the most beautiful soundscape that Lex had ever heard at the Fine Arts Center, and he's done a lot of shows at the Fine Arts Center. So maybe thinking about some of those words that Lex used in terms of painting the music with light and this expansive space. Any of you want to respond from the sonic or lighting perspective or the direction perspective?
Well, I'd love to say something about all that. I mean, you know, the thing that was so interesting to me was the fact that you're doing this story that is in the world of what we're led to believe is the most gifted and emotional and empathetic photographer in the world, right? And who literally sings a 4.5-minute song about light, right? You know, which is like, there couldn't be a more boring topic for an audience to listen to a 4-minute song about. And meanwhile, they're sitting on the edge of the seats, and then there's this moment where this photographer and frankly a lighting designer are going to get to show the world, the audience, what we see and how we see it. And man, that moment in the bridge when we drop into that was just incredible. And I too, you know, want to give the shout out, because we come to productions with all of these goals all the time, but you know, sometimes we put big things in the way, or the staging doesn't quite work, or you don't have these amazing performances to lift you up and support you exactly. And this was one of those ones where the staging kept being just so, and the performances were right there, and the violin was right there, so that when the cue landed, like, you know, you can't do that by yourself, right? You cannot. One strong element can be noticed in a show, but it can't carry the audience to that place by itself. And this one, I mean, was just slaughtering me every night, like over and over and over again, no matter how many times I saw it. And
me too.
So, you know, so much good was happening on so many levels. It was just an honor to be a part of it. Really.
Yeah, it was one of those shows too that I was a sobbing mess by the end of all the performances that I was able to catch. Stephanie and Jacob, can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe about the dynamics of the music and what you did to really be in the moment from performance to performance based on what was happening on stage?
Yeah, I'll defer mostly to Stephanie, but just to quickly mention that we did collaborate quite a bit on choosing her piano sound, because it is it so drives the score, right? And we wanted it to punch through and to complement all the other instruments.
Yeah, we fired a couple keyboards, I believe.
Right.
So, no, you know, that show is, but the music is so intricate and there's so much happening going on. that everyone had to be on the ball every second of the show. There was not a moment that anyone in the orchestra, which can happen in a lot of shows where you get used to something and you're playing it over and over again, where someone will check out. But if you check out in this show, you're in big trouble. So someone's lost and someone's missing something major. So it was really neat because we were all 100% there with each other all the time. And we were connected to the cast so much on stage because there's so much rubato and so much con la voce in this show where you're with the voices and they get to control you. And so we were following them all the time. And it's just a really unique piece of music theater in that way because they really can drive the show that way. And so to have us all collaborating with the music and the set and everyone, you know, in the pit and the lighting and everything was so coordinated. It was just, it felt very magical. And for it to, you know, come together in those moments where you have the swell in the music and the actors move at just the right time and the set piece lands. And it was just, I said it, but I can't come up with another word other than magical.
Yes.
So Nathan, when we think about you having seen a performance of that original production and then dreaming about your own vision of it and now having a vision realized by this amazing team and the other folks on the team who aren't here, what do you think now that it's happened?
I thought you were going to say, are you going to retire now or something like that?
No!
Is anyone giving you a lifetime award? Yeah.
You're not allowed to retire.
No lifetime
I don't
award.
want to. No, it was just so important to me to get to do it and then to assemble such an amazing group of human beings to play in that sandbox and make the thing. It was like a dream. And that is what we were also trying to do with the play too, is create this dream. You know, the set was like swirling around Francesca and the world was her memories. And so to me, it's like, you know, I've been taking solace in the fact that this is the last thing I got to make. Because it was such a special time and it was such a special experience that I'm glad it wasn't like a stinker. Do you know what I mean? That like the one that we were working on right before was something that everyone really believed in and was a really, really special time.
I will echo that. Yeah. I've had that conversation with many people that how grateful to have sort of come to this hiatus with that show.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
No, I miss it. I'm still listening to it. I miss it. I wanted us to run that one for 3 months. I could have done it. The cast was so good.
Perhaps if our production were the Broadway production, it would have lasted for more than a minute. But
right. That's right.
I'm just saying that amongst friends.
Even as Nathan dreamed for years, he had lots of notes. He had lots of things to fix about the Broadway.
That's true.
The last question that I'll ask you guys before we get to some of the cast members is the property of Bridges in Madison County. I think the general populace knows it most from the movie, and there is something cinematic in even the stage adaptation. And I feel like our production had this sweep, right? Not just in the quality of the music and the performances, but in the way the set moved, in the way that, Nathan, you made these beautiful transitions from place to place. And Jonathan, your amazing ability to paint the sky by the minute of the day in these amazing colors. How much of that span of time and sweep was present in the creation of the work?
I can say a word. I remember at one point, you know, my friend, colleague, beautiful artist, fellow nominated Holly Rawls said to me at one point, she said, so that's what happens when you point 40% of the gear at the psych, huh? Right? Like I came there loaded for bear, right? I wanted to be able to push the gradation of every one of those minutes. And to me, I really think it is about the compression of that time, right? Because it's really critical to this one chosen moment. It's a stolen moment. And then you've got to get the audience on your side to be okay with the moment, and at least so that they get swept up too. Because if they have too much time to think, then they could start changing their mind about these people, you know? And so for me, it was something about always pushing them forward in that way, and then creating those moments where time just sort of hung in the air for a second in like a sangria, you know, a sangria gorgeousness of amber and magenta that you just want to fall into. So did I answer the question at all? I mean, it's really important. On the one hand, that swirling, you know, Scott, it's true. I mean, Nathan and I talked about this a lot. It's really important that the audience is on that real-time journey with them. Because if they had a moment to think, they could really start to judge some of these choices. And you needed to sweep them up. You needed them to get carried away with you. Or it can go a totally different way, this story, yeah?
So we have to move on to the actors. It's the time just goes so fast. So I leave.
The only thing that makes it okay is that they're so amazing.
This is true.
See them in a minute.
That's right.
But we honor and applaud you. Nominated for Outstanding Scenic Design, Lex Liang. Outstanding Lighting Design, Jonathan. Outstanding Musical Direction, Stephanie. Outstanding Sound Design in a Musical, Jacob. Outstanding Direction of a Musical, Nathan Halverson. And together with the entire company, nominated for Outstanding Production of a Musical. Your work was beautiful, and we can't wait to do it again in 3 dimensions in a live theater space. We love you, and we will see you soon. Adios. And they go.
Then you were like, goodbye.
I mean, it really, you know, it's that like, I know that the Bridges of Madison County, the musical, really goes to a couple different places, but really it's Iowa. It's summer in Iowa. And it's summer in Iowa in like 1962, 63, one of those specific years. But I'm telling you, that stage in Colorado Springs was Iowa in the summer. I mean, look at that.
Look at that. Come on. Lex and Jonathan and Stephanie, like everybody's a genius. There's like nothing happens without them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how it is? Like you have the dream, you have the baby, and then every decision along the way and all the voices and the collaboration. It was like so cool.
Well, and not for nothing, but for you too, because not that this is the first sort of dramatic musical without huge dances that you've directed, but it's been a little while, and your skill at being so specific inside the structure of the musical really made it. I mean, that emotional life that you were able to create through the visual and the performances is just astounding.
Thank you. That's very sweet, but I don't know how to breathe it in.
That's fine. Well, you don't have to breathe it in. The world knows you've been nominated for Outstanding Direction of a Musical, so the other people feel that way.
Okay.
There you go. So, shall we bring some actors on? We have three of the 4 nominated actors from our company. Jennifer De Dominici, Dieter Bierbauer, and Susan Dawn Carson. Welcome to the show.
Hey,
congratulations on your nominations.
Thank you.
Now, Nathan, I don't need to always be the question asker here. I mean, you worked with these actors on this production much more than I did. I was hardly even in the rehearsal room. So
true, but I feel so much more comfortable when you ask the question. But I will ask them too.
Well, I will ask this question to start off the bat. As we were saying in the previous segment, there's such an operatic feeling to the music in the show, and there is maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like the majority of the show is sung, even though there are significant book scenes. how hard was it? I mean, really, like, how hard was it to work on this material in that amount of time to define your characters so specifically, which all three of you were miraculous at doing?
I mean, I guess I'll start, because otherwise we'll just sit here and stare at each other. No. You know what? For me, it's been a love of this music for many years, and I've been prepping it like I was going to do the role for probably like 4 years, no matter what. So it hasn't. I mean, it's always seemed so short and sweet when it comes to rehearsal processes, because you want to spend so much time figuring it out. But yeah, I've loved it for a while, and have been singing it in my shower and in my car like I was going to start rehearsal the next week, even though it was like 3 years down the road.
So lots of preparation. I mean, like, you couldn't just do it in 3 weeks, basically, because that's
no, I mean, not unless you've been in that world. I mean, like in the opera world, you travel around doing the same like 5 roles or so for a good chunk of your time, so you have them in your body. I mean, it takes a lot of prep to get this specific stuff, at least for me, in my body. So you have to kind of have it ready to go. And Jen will second me on this. I second guess the majority of everything that I did pretty much daily. So you never know.
I second guess you, but I would second guess myself.
No, I mean, I was second guessing. I just said you can support that. You know that I complain about myself all the time.
Jen, you want to? I mean, you had to every night start the show with what was in effect a 6-minute aria, and then sing your face off for the next just about 3 hours. So it's sort of the same related question. If you want, look at that beautiful image.
Oh.
Yeah. Just and there's so much life in your face as that character, and just in sort of in space and in breath. I don't know. What you want to respond to the sort of non-question question I posed, or anything else about the experience?
Yeah, once I stepped out on stage, everyone had created this world. It didn't take very much. There was maybe the first like 5 seconds of the first song where I was conscious that I was doing this thing. And then after that, I was just in this world. And I didn't really, there would be times where people would say, "Oh, sorry, did you hear that sound backstage?" And I'll be like, "I have no idea what's happening other than what's on the stage." It was so immersive. Yeah, it was not hard to be there for that amount of time, and I could have sung it all day, every day. Please let me.
and Susan Dawn, you know, I think we recognize that the center of the story is the relationship between Francesca and Robert, but in much the same way as The Curious Incident and Tiny Beautiful Things, this is also an ensemble piece. So what was, I don't know, what's your experience like in the character that in a lot of way was to some effect part of a comic relief in the production, but you also had these beautiful, amazing songs that you were able to dive into as well.
I really loved having the opportunity to find out who Marge is, and not. Whoa, there she is. I'm my mother. That wig and that dress, I'm telling you.
Those biceps.
Planking. No, I really just, I went in not really knowing who she was, but knowing that I didn't want to make her simply the comic relief or secondary in any way, because it's really about the relationships. And, you know, Jen and I have wanted to work together for a long time, and it was like, woohoo! And so I really relished those moments with her on stage. And by the way, I'm going to also say, while I have the floor, that, you know, this cast was absolutely amazing, top to bottom. And, you know, I told Jen many times, you know, she was born to play this role. And I felt that every single night and every single moment with her. But I loved just getting to play And Nathan was very open to playing and us, you know, just exploring stuff. And I'm kind of a prop actor in a very, you know, because it was a very sparse set, and it really wasn't about us. You know, it was about the story of Francesca and Robert. So we were swirling around a lot. I was like, well, I need a little anchoring here and there. And he was very game to, you know, say, okay, let's try it. And I said, could we try a rocking chair? Or could I get another prop? Could I get a cup of coffee? And I don't know, all these little human things. And Bob Morse, who played my husband, was just, he's such a sweetheart. And anyway, the room was just great to work in and rehearse in. And I just loved being on stage with this company every night in this amazing thing that you all created.
Nathan, I think it's no surprise that the three actors from this production and Jeff Rourke, the fourth act, that all four of you have received, oh, there he is, have received nominations for your performances in this production. No surprise to you, Nathan?
Well, yeah, it's about them. I'm not surprised at all.
Right. And so I wonder if you could just piggyback on what Susan Dawn was just saying and talk a little bit about the process with the entire company in the room and what that was like.
I have to talk about it?
Yeah, you directed them.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we'll talk about it. I mean, I don't know. I like to think that we just have a open room where, you know, best idea wins. Like, and that's like, we have to try a bunch of stuff in order to know what that is. Like, I hope that it's a collaborative. That's my intention. I think that's what happened. I don't know. But they're all so good. You know what I mean? They don't really need. I just was like, we're gonna swirl the fence around you while you're having all your really good acting over there. Or, you know, like.
Didn't need you at all. That's why every day I would just say, Nathan, tell me what to do. Nathan, just tell me what you want me to do.
Well, Nathan, what you just said too, it's like ideally, yes, that is what the process is like. It's safe and it's experimental and it's collaborative and all these things. But when you actually get in a room that is all of those things, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I think everybody felt that.
Another question I have is, was there a moment that the three of you that you were always looking forward to being able to play from performance to performance? Like, could you pick a moment from the show that you were always waiting for? No, all the moments.
Well, you two had like so many.
There's very little that I didn't. No, I enjoyed that entire show. I could say that one that I thoroughly enjoyed was not me playing at all. It was me sitting at a table watching Jen and listening to Jen sing her face off, because it was amazing, and I enjoyed every second of that because she did such a gorgeous job. So that was one of my favorites, and I just get to sit there and pretend I was drinking a cup of coffee for a little bit and then put it down and just have this fantastic show right in front of me.
Jen or Susan Dawn?
Come on, Jen. One of my favorite things was when Jennifer, when Francesca is in just a panic and she doesn't know what to do because the family's home. And I just love that moment every night. You're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, about what? Because I wanted to see if you would actually say it every night. I thought, maybe she'll tell me, and maybe she shouldn't. But if she needs to, this is your chance, even though I already knew. And I loved that.
I can't pick one. I can't. You can't make me.
That's fine. All the moments. Now that said, there's actually a question that's come in from Angie, who was part of our crew, and this is from her experience. I think this is directed toward Jen. What were you experiencing in the moment right before intermission during that song? It captivated her every night.
The song before intermission?
Yeah, right before intermission. I mean, maybe that's for 𝘠𝘪 also, yeah? But
yeah, that's the duet.
Yeah.
It's the choice. Right?
Thank you. It is. That's very true.
I think people talk a lot of, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jen, please.
No, you.
Nope.
That's what it was like. They're both so polite. They always wanted the other one to go first. That's right. You just saw the rehearsal room, everybody.
Okay. So now we're moving to the performance. So Jen, what do you want to say?
Well, a lot of people talk a lot about Act 2 and how intimate Act 2 is, but I really feel like that moment before intermission is the most intimate part of the show. I think that's the time. That's the time when they connect for real for the first time and give in. And yeah.
Yeah. 𝘠𝘪?
I wholeheartedly agree with everything Jennifer just said. I truly do, because there is so much, and you know, we played with that a lot. Like, where does that moment really happen? It can't happen. Nathan knows it. No, it can't happen too early. Otherwise, it's just that's all the show's going to be about. So that's true. It's like that had to be the moment where finally, because everybody's just like, when's it gonna happen? What's gonna, you know? And finally, that's when we got to open that door and let it go.
Well, and to be fair, we restaged the end of Act 1 724 times. I'm not like we redid it like every day. So
that's right.
Brilliant. We only have a couple of minutes left. Nathan, do you have something that you really want to know from these nominees that have joined us, or anything you want to say about them before we wish them well?
Well, I want them to talk, but I do want to tell them they're all geniuses and how fortunate I feel to have been in the room with them, and that they were there. And all Colorado talent, brilliant Colorado people making beautiful Colorado theater magic. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, in relation to where we are in the world in the moment, and recognizing that the last performance of Bridges in Madison County was the first day of March, right? I mean, we shut things down everywhere 2 weeks later. So maybe not, but I would imagine that this was the last major production that you performed in.
So grateful. So grateful.
Yeah. And so, yeah, is there anything about, like, how do you feel now? What are we 4 months later, and being able to hold on to Bridges, but also I would imagine wanting to be able to move forward too. You want to say anything about where you are right now versus where you were 4 months ago?
I mean, this is top of my bucket list, quite honestly. And, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Especially my first time working at the FAC and walking into a place that I didn't know at all, and then being amongst such an amazing group of people on every single level, design, stage, front and back, everything was, everybody in the pit, I mean, musicians, everybody was top notch, amazing people. I personally was incredibly artistically satiated by the entire process. So I'm still trying to ride that wave right now. I also knew I didn't have anything else booked after that, and that was fine with me because I kind of wanted to live on that feeling for a while. And it's made me very happy knowing that that's the wave I get to ride is everybody there and all of you and that experience.
That's great.
Jen, Susan, Don?
Well, I just want to say how privileged I felt to be in this company. Again, like 𝘠𝘪 said, just the entire every team member everywhere in that space, on stage, off stage, backstage, creating everything. It just all came together in such a beautiful way. And also for me to get to come home to the Fine Arts Center again and to finally work with Jennifer and be on stage with 𝘠𝘪. However, I would love to like talk to you on stage sometime and not just about your character. Maybe another time. It was very interesting. And being reunited with Jeff and and Mark Autry, who I worked with when he was a kid. And it was really lovely, and lovely meeting Kelly and working with Carmen and Rachel. It was just great all the way around. Did I get everybody in there? I loved everybody.
As you said earlier in the evening, it takes a village, right? Without everybody in the village, it wouldn't have been the whole. Jen, last words?
Just so grateful. So grateful that we got to do it. So grateful that it was the magical thing that it was in every way. I can't imagine a better family, a better production team, it was the pinnacle experience of my performing career so far. And now it's almost as if it keeps living on. Like it's the last thing I did, and that therefore it never ends, which is both heartbreaking and just really beautiful. I'm so grateful.
We celebrate and we honor you. Congratulations, Susan Dawn, on your nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Musical, and to Jeff Rourke for his nomination for Best Supporting Actor in a Musical. Congratulations, Dieter, on your nomination for Outstanding Performance by an Actor in a Musical, and Jennifer for your nomination for Outstanding Actress in a Musical. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us this evening. We will see you soon. I hope sooner than later, indeed. Goodbye, friends. What a night.
What a crazy night, but I feel like I must do this. Congratulations, Scott Levy, Best Director of a Play. Because I feel like we started, and then you started doing that, but you were leading all all of that, and
it's
we
all
were
good.
doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to everyone who was part of any of the productions that have been nominated and the productions that were not nominated, for all of your work on behalf of the Fine Arts Center Theater, for the artists, the audiences of the community. The Fine Arts Center Theater Company is nothing without the artists on stage, off stage, backstage, and the artists that are the audience in the seats that watch our shows. And we're so thankful to all of you. I'm excited to see what happens on July 26th at the Henry Award celebration. I don't know exactly how to watch the ceremony yet, but I'm advised to tell you to go to the Colorado Theater Guild's website or Facebook page, and you can get information about how to join us as we watch and celebrate the half season in Colorado theater, not just for the work at the Fine Arts Center, but all the fabulous work that's happening throughout the state, all of our friends who have worked on shows at the Fine Arts Center who are nominated for other work, and all the people and companies that we look forward to collaborating with in the future. What else do we have going on, Nathan? What's going on right now?
Oh, hello. Summer camp. We are about to start week 3 of our high school intensive, but we have one more camp coming for ages 8 through 13, starting July 27th to August 7th. It's called Let's Make a Musical. It is a devised musical being created through the internet. And it's going to be awesome. Carmen Shedd and Ryan Miller are teaching that class. We still have a few slots if people are interested in that, so look at the website.
And we have so many plans and dreams about what comes next and what the fall, winter, and spring of 21 looks like. And we'll, of course, keep you all updated as we're able to confirm those plans. And this is fun. This is our second live Q&A of this nature. I think we're going to do it again next month, okay?
Okay, I'll see you there.
Oh, great. Wait, we're not going to see each other for a month or something?
No, I'll see you Monday.
Yeah, or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, on behalf of all of us, and particularly thanks to Kate Fernandy and Morgan Gatson for their production of this evening. Thank you so much to both of you for making this smooth and seamless. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations once again to all the nominees. We will see you soon. Good night.